have you marked out the top or bottom of the candle? So these two should be switched around. The third one, the second one, they should be in the opposite order. Yes. So what you want to do is you want to mark out, for me, this line here. Now that is the B. That's the B, right? That's the bolt. That's just the B. So that's like the B. Now we move on to optimal retest. Do you see price coming back?
Sorry, just a quick question.
Yeah.
Back to the same chart. What about the candle before that? Did that also break outside of the zone?
Yeah. So I'm actually going to answer your question now. I'm going to answer it now. Do you see price coming back into the zone with at least 2 candles? Now, strictly speaking, you can do it off one if you want. With me personally, I like to see 2. It's just a personal conservative approach. However, you can do 1 if you feel good in the moment. To be honest, there's different ways of approaching this. I like to see at least 2 candles coming back into the zone because I want to see at least 2 minutes of absorption. Just from my own personal experience, I'm a little bit more conservative. I don't like to just take I just prefer to see 2 candles. It's just a personal preference of mine. Now, if you look here, there was actually more than 2 candles. There was actually about 3. 1, 2, 3. Hopefully, if you go to the execution, there was this one here. So there was at least 3 candles, at least 2. So 1, 2, right there. Hopefully you can see. Can you all understand that?
Yeah, and I have a clarifying question though. When you say at least 2 candles retraced back into the zone, you're talking about the zone of the breakout candle, the high and low of the breakout candle, not necessarily going back into retracing back into the key level that it broke from.
Yeah. So if I understood your question correctly, I'm interested in price breaking above this high.
Yeah, but then the optimal retest that we're talking about now, you want 2 candles to go back into that zone of the breakout candle, not necessarily go back into the key level that it broke from.
I want to see it going into the key level. I want to see at least 2 candles inside of the key level. So for me personally, I want to see at least 2 candles inside of the key level. So for me, I saw these 2 here. And even this one as well, because it was technically inside these 3. I want to see at least 2. So if I break this down one more time, right? One more time, what's going on? So we've tapped into the key level. I want to see, so 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So this is when I pull the trigger. So for the optimal retest, and what's important to understand is optimal retest and liquidity absorption, those two come hand in hand. So typically the optimal retest and the liquidity absorption, they will happen at the same time. The reason I put an optimal retest first is that obviously there's no point looking for an absorption unless you're inside your key level. So when you see price coming back into the zone after showing signs of breaking above, step 3 is the most important. The L is the most important. Right? I often say this is the only L you want in trading is liquidity absorption. So in order to buy, do you see lots of red delta or aggressive sellers inside the zone? So let's go inside the zone and let's see what was going on here. Hopefully you all can see how obvious that is. Now, the candle I want to draw your attention to is this one. Why is this candle interesting? And I want both of you to answer. Aman, I'm going to start with you. Why is this candle interesting, this one here?
First, it's an optimal retest. Sellers trying to push the price down, and I can see the blue delta, the aggressive buyer, also pushing the price up outside of the zone.
Yeah. James, your turn.
Yeah, so this is the breakout candle, and we see absorption before that candle.
Yep, that's one thing. What I was pointing at, and the reason why I'm bringing this to your attention is because I want to train your brain to spot this, right? Do you see how this is a green candle? What I want you to understand is that you can have a green candle, but if you look at the bottom of this green candle, the numbers are fuzzy, but it says 200, let's just say 232 for 29, I think that is. 232 for 29. Can you see how we had a green candle? Which means by definition, the candle is bullish, but can you see how there's a massive seller sitting over here, massive aggressive seller sitting over here? Can you all see that?
Yes.
Yes.
This is classic absorption. This candle here, typically in a trade, you're only going to see one or two candles that like, okay, I like the look of that. When you see a green candle with a ton of selling and we cannot break below the zone, this is what liquidity absorption means. This is what separates this here will separate a good setup from a great setup. Being able to see the liquidity absorption in real time is king, right? That's going to separate you apart, providing you got the right level. And the way to do that is to almost train your brain to look for the opposites. Green candle with lots of selling. Think about what that means from a very sort of basic third grade thinking perspective, right? A green candle means higher prices. Red delta means selling. So I'm seeing higher prices with lots of selling. So if price wants to move up and I see lots of selling, are those sellers actually rewarded? No, right? So that's what the L really stands for. What we mean by liquidity absorption is you want to look at buy side liquidity and sell side liquidity. And inside that level, your job is to see who was absorbed. In order to buy, you need to see sellers inside the zone being absorbed, right? In order to buy. So if we're looking for buy trades, you need to see red delta. So you need to almost flip your brain to look for the opposite. All right. Now that we're at number 3, I'm just going to quickly take you back to 1. So on a scale of 1 to 5, James, how would you rate the break? How would you rate this break here? This one. Let me see. How would you rate this break here on a scale of 1 to 5?
On a scale of 1 to 5, that is probably a 3.
Why'd you say 3?
Well, because it's a hesitation candle. So there's not a lot. There's not a lot of aggression in that candle. It broke above, but there wasn't a lot of